Hello, Gemini. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Gemini is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger. And I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember that the most important part of any tarot reading, Gemini, is you. Seven of Cups. You're somebody who you've been focusing more lately on clean living. You know, I feel like you're kind of moving into this period of an increase in health consciousness. Okay, Spirit's saying that the health thing that you're doing is a good idea and it's going to make things better. Okay, and I don't know exactly what that is yet. I may never know. But I feel like you're starting to make a lot of different choices. You're starting to realize that some of the things that feel good aren't always good. Yeah. I think also there's a perception now, not only in terms of your physical health, but you're able to see even relationships, differently. Your relationships with everything, right? Not just with your body or with food or with, exercise, nutrition. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But your relationships with other people, your relationships with thoughts, your relationships with your own personal beliefs and your own values. I feel like you're starting to clean house. I feel like you're really in this mood of trying to increase your health and wellness overall, mentally, emotionally, and physically as well. Yeah. So I think in a large part, you're starting to see a lot of relationships for what they really are. Spirit's saying, watch out for somebody who's been making you a lot of promises. Okay. You're seeing that some things in your life, though maybe on the surface they sort of feel good or they look good or it seems good, but it's not always the best thing for you. And I think you're starting to really see things for what they are. You're seeing your relationships with those things for what the relationship is. I feel like you're not judging something's intrinsic value. You're not judging that person. You're not judging that particular food or whatever, right? But you're more aware of your relationship with that and whether that is something that's leading you towards healthfulness or not. Okay? Mentally, emotionally, physically. Let's put this into some context. This is very good energy. I know the Seven of Cups isn't always our favorite card, but look at that. We've got an increase of vitality and stamina and endurance and this kind of rush of fire energy. We've got a Knight of Wands. We've got the Hanged Man. I think that's appropriate, right? The Ten of Wands. Yeah, I think the Ten of Wands is what kind of got you started on this path today. And as well as the High Priestess, the Eight of Pentacles. Look at that, perfect. I don't know why Spirit this kind of feels redundant, Spirit, but I just got through saying that all of these efforts are going to pay off, that they're a good idea, that it will improve the situation. And then, of course, we get the Eight of Pentacles. It's kind of it's almost as if I said Spirit was telling me to tell you something. It's almost like you didn't believe me. You needed to see it for yourself. Well, here's the card that confirms that. So, you don't have to trust me. You know what I mean? Let's keep going here. Whoop, I'll knock my tea over. Five of Cups. Ooh, interesting. Prince of Swords. The Tower, yeah. And a Ten of, oh gosh. So not only is it getting better, we're restoring health, but I think we're going to become kind of the best version of ourselves. Now, we're not just talking physical. This isn't just about, it's not just about the physical health or the physical form, It's not just about your physiology, your biology, or your muscles and your digestion and stuff. The Pentacles are also finances. Which I think that's enough to make you smile, right? but it's also the emotional energy, the intellectual energy. It's also your interpersonal relationships, right? It's also your creativity, your spiritual life, about your vitality. Not even so much about having the physical, physically healthy, but having the energy level to sort of prove it. Yeah. The pentacles are the containers of all of the other energy of life. Okay? And this is kind of saying that you're building your life in such a way where it's going to be full of everything that you want, that you're structuring your life, you're organizing both your physical form and your environment, your world, in such a way that it will contain all of the energy that you want it to. You're building the form. If you build it, they will come, right? You build the kind of life that you want. You build the routines, the subroutines, the structures, the algorithms, whatever, the habits. And that we see an increase. We see an improvement in all of these areas. Of course, we see the improvement in the physical, financial area, right? We even see the improvement in the emotional area. And you said, well, that's a 5 of cups. That's not, how's that improvement? Because this is not stagnation. The 5 of anything really, but in this case, the 5 of cups is a very good card because it's showing that we're not remaining attached to any emotional state. And we're not so identified with the emotional state. We're clinging to it. It's not a 4 of cups. It's not an 8 of cups. It's not a 9 or a 6 either, right? So it's basically saying that all of the negative emotions that you feel, they wash over you, they wash away. Even the blissful ones, the very pleasant, happy, joy emotions, they come, we experience them, they wash back away again. It's I think, a healthy way for you to experience your fluctuating emotions by trying not to identify so fully with any of them. This is a very good card. What we need to do is select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. And it's going to go right over, let's put it over here. And we're going to put Jimbo, the Lizard King, a.k.a. Mr. Lizard, right there on top. And now we're not going to look at that card until the very end, right? But it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need. I don't know where to put my tea anymore. If you have a prediction for this card, put it down in the comments any point during the reading. It's a good idea to exercise that intuition. We see that High Priestess card here. We know we've got to start exercising that, right? And I think that really is sort of like where all this is coming from for you, is this High Priestess, is your sort of growing psychic sense. This is the waxing moon. This is the increase of the spiritual light. This is the widening of the psychic aperture, okay? You're letting in a lot more divine light. You're trusting in spirit. You're receiving the messages you have. It's like you've got that antenna on your head that's just receiving the signal. And you're very open to it. You might be resisting things a little bit, with the fixed air energy here. But otherwise, I feel like everything Spirit's telling you, you're sort of implementing it, and you're starting to see improvement in all these different areas of your life. Okay? The biggest thing feels like your energy level, your stamina. Yeah. This is the fire on fire, the Knight of Wands, right? And this is your ability to just sort of have an impulse, have an idea, have a thought, have a whim, right? And to be able to get up and run out the door. This is you kind of feeling like at any moment you've got all the energy that you need. It's kind of the opposite of like sometimes in the morning when I'm getting out of bed, my daughter's like, wake up, wake up, wake up. I'm like, I need like 10, 20 minutes to get out of bed, I gotta kind of, loosen up my muscles and the bones crack and I sort of push myself up from the bed. Sometimes it feels like, I'm aging very quickly, right? But this is the opposite of that. This is your ability to just, somebody has an idea, you're springing up, ready for action. It's an intense vitality. Okay, but not just physically. It is the ability for you to get immersed in something mentally, or to get inspired toward a creative project or something like this, right? We're always ready for movement. It's just you're always warmed up, and ready for action, if you will, which I think is a big thing. I think that's the important thing, especially with the 10 of Wands in the background. I feel like sort of what prompted you to make this sort of shift in your life is the feeling as if you can no longer handle the weight of things. And what I mean is, in a very simple way, like very, very simple things have been difficult to do. There was a time where, I'm not the healthiest person in the world, but there was a time where, like, going up a flight of stairs, I'd feel winded. I'd be sweating, I'd be out of breath. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing, only in different areas of life. This is kind of an overwhelmed, it's almost like it's becoming too much for me to handle. The physical activity, the mental, emotional stuff, the creative stuff, the vital energy in your life feels like it's being taxed, right? That it's kind of being exhausted. And I think maybe you've sort of felt that as physical aches and pains. Spirit showed me a spot on your back that feels like it's very sore. It's kind of in the middle of your back on both sides. And it's just sort of it's a soreness. It's sort of the muscles that get sore just because they've been holding your body upright, and it's just an overall depletion. Okay. And I think that this was kind of maybe there was one thing, maybe it was a flight of stairs where you just said, I got to make some changes. I'm going to do something different. I feel like in terms of your interpersonal relationships, this is you realizing that people have been sort of, I don't know, taking advantage of you or piling on too much. That things that they could easily be taken care of, they kind of pass it off to you because they know you'll do it, right? And so I think that we're feeling a little bit overburdened, or even taken for granted of. Taken for granted by some people, okay? And so I think it's a lot of these things for you. It's a lot of this overwhelmed energy, a lot of mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, I think, exhausted, and sort of unable to keep up with things. Yeah. And so we're making changes, and these changes are just all good, baby, all good. I like the Hanged Man underneath here, because the Hanged Man is kind of saying, like, we know that sometimes we've got to endure a little bit of suffering to make things better. Okay? It's kind of like the things that we have to sort of let go of. And you find it, do you notice how the High Priestess and the Hanged Man look like the same card, but it kind of looks like they're just standing in a pool of water, and it's just a reflection of each other? You notice that? You see that? To me, anyway, it looks that way. It looks like a reflection. So I think that it's really the High Priestess is giving us an opportunity to reflect upon those things that we're attached to in life, those relationships that we have with other people, with ourselves, with our body, with food, with water, with exercise, with our creative energies, with spirit itself, with all of it. Everything is a relationship. Humans are nothing but the sum total of their ongoing relationships, right? We're ever evolving. We're a process, an interrelational, processual energy, if you will, right? And that's what we are. That's what makes us who we are. And so it's our relationship with the world around us. Not just, and when I say a relationship, I don't just mean like your romantic partner or your best friend or your relationship with your mom, right? Relationship with everything. Your relationship with literally everything in your environment and with yourself and all of it. Yeah. Everything is a relation. It's how we relate to something else. Anyway, the Hanged Man is you getting a sort of different perspective. I think seeing seeing the Seven of Cups for what it really is, understanding what these things are and how we can make some changes to restore this blessed vitality in all these different areas, how we can make progress, and it's kind of like this with the Knight of Wands here. This feels like someone who has started this sort of health journey, right? And I say health in the broadest sense, and just cannot wait to get up and go to the gym the next day. It's just so motivated and so excited by this that it really keeps you going, and you can't wait to start to continue doing more of this kind of work, because all areas of your life are benefiting from this. Okay. And I like that the High Priestess is showing us the reflection of what we've sort of been doing, and allowing us to see from this new perspective what things we've got to work on, right? What things we've got to work on. And I feel like this is that divine light that enters your life and shows you the problem areas. And then, of course, the Hanged Man is us letting go of some of those problem areas, doing the work, which is difficult. Let's say if it has to do with food. In my case, I have a major sweet tooth, right? And I wonder if that's your thing too. Maybe the sweet tooth. Yeah. The Spirit is telling me something about a tooth. Anyway, maybe it's the sweet tooth. But it's the difficult thing to give up. And so it feels like a loss. It feels like we're suffering without it. It feels like I'm torturing myself. I'm not allowing myself to have all the ice cream I want, But it's us doing that difficult work of going through that difficult suffering, and maybe suffering is too severe of a word. It's a discomfort, right? To give up something that maybe for a long time you really enjoyed, that it was good, it was pleasant. We knew maybe it wasn't all that great for us, but it was pleasant. And so now we're sort of voluntarily sacrificing that for our greater good. And I'm not just talking food, I'm talking about any kind of energy. Okay? Because what we're moving toward, of course, is that the Eight of Pentacles, the restoration of health, that you are now this strong and glorious tree, right, in the middle of the garden, and you're growing strong. Your roots are strengthening and reaching out, and your roots are being nourished by positive energy, by good, healthful energy, right? And, I think part of this with the Hanged Man too is getting rid of anything that you're entangled with. We think of like a plant that really wants to grow big and strong has to get rid of some of the weeds around it, because some of those weeds will start to choke it out, will kind of get mixed up in the roots and stuff, right? Spirit's saying that you have some unnecessary ties right now that you've got to get rid of. Yeah, no uncertain terms. There are people that you probably don't need to be hanging out with. Yeah. Wasting your energy on. Maybe those people are the ones that are kind of taking you for granted, or unloading their burden on you a little bit too much. Okay? Use your discernment anyway when it comes to those sorts of things. If you have an issue with anyone, now's the time to bring it up. Now's the time to figure that stuff out so that that entanglement doesn't kind of choke your roots, or choke your stem or your branches or your flowers, I think, have you ever seen those, there's some sort of evergreen tree, I don't know what they are really, but there's these vines that wrap around them all the way up, looks like garland on a Christmas tree or something. And from what I know, like that's really bad for the tree, like that's something that eventually is going to kill that tree, right? But it's this weird vine that like kind of climbs up, and I don't know. But that's kind of what it feels like with your energy right now. It feels like you got to get that stuff off of you. And I think that's super important. Let's talk about the path of the serpent now. And as we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. It is free, and it is good for the channel, helps us out here, and I appreciate that very, very much. All right. We talked a little bit about the Five of Cups and about the emotional energy that's involved here. I think that, it's easy to have a feeling and to get attached to it. A positive or a negative feeling, pleasant or unpleasant feeling, we get attached to it. It becomes us. We do not want to let it go, or we find it difficult to let it go. But with the Five of Cups, it's kind of things wash in, it's things wash out. It's just the waves that are coming up on the beach. You know, I used to live near Santa Cruz, and my favorite thing in life is to be on a beach watching the ocean coming in. You know, especially in Santa Cruz, a little, you know, kind of a secluded beach kind of thing. Anyone who's familiar with that area, we used to go to Bonnie Dunes. I don't know if Bonnie Dunes is still out there, but it was a nice kind of secluded place. We'd park, we'd go over the train tracks, we'd go down an embankment, and there's this wonderful beach there. We got chased away from there by the cops a great many times in my younger years. But the waves coming in and going out, and it's kind of a cleansing thing. It's kind of like it's reassuring too, in a way, to know that whatever we're feeling, whatever the affect is, it's not going to last. It doesn't have to last. If we cling to it, it will last a long time. But if we allow it to kind of fall away, we feel it. I'm not saying we deny how we feel. We've got to honor our feelings, but we don't want to cling to them either. So the Five of Cups is very good at recognizing that, maybe I need to let go of either some grudges, or maybe there's this attachment to pleasure or joy, like for me in the sweet tooth, right? It's just that I want to hang on to that feeling, and so I kind of overdo it sometimes. You can ask my wife about the ice cream. My wife does tea leaf readings. She's over at Ula Tea Leaf Readings. Her name is Lenore. Go ask her about my ice cream habits, and you'll see that sometimes you just want that feeling, and you gotta say, okay, I felt it, I liked it, it was good, pleasant. I let it go, you know. And that goes with the negative stuff too. All right. Now the converse of that is kind of with the Prince of Swords here, because this is a fixed air energy. This is in the position of your relationships, a position of your environment. I feel like this is kind of a feeling of obligation, or not even obligation, but a feeling that there are connections to people in your life that no matter what happens, they have to always be there. Right? I feel like this is like no matter what somebody does, you're like obligated to be in their life. You're obligated to like always remain friends with them. It's kind of the idea here of even of family, right? Of blood family. I don't want to get too deep into that issue because that's a very sensitive issue, and I'm going through, sort of issues with my sort of blood family as well, the idea that we have to remain sort of spiritually entwined and sort of strongly connected with our blood family just because they're blood family, I think is an unhealthy way to look at things. And I'm no expert, right? I'm a tarot reader on YouTube. But I feel that we have to be able to recognize when we're holding on to a relationship just because, why, right? Because it's what you're supposed to do. It's because what we're expected to do. Because I have to. Well, because they're family. And it goes with friends. It goes with anything. It goes with ice cream even, right? Holding on to that, that connection with that food, or with that activity, or with a belief, or with a thought, with an issue of any kind, an opinion of any kind. Why are we holding on to that so much? Why? Because it feels good? Maybe. Maybe because it does not feel good, right? In the sense of our blood family, sometimes we hang on to those relationships because there is unpleasant feelings associated with those relationships. And it's hard to kind of break ourselves from that whole entanglement. Okay? I feel like you've got things going on like that. Yeah. I feel that there is also some sort of negotiation going on in terms of your finances. I don't know if it's a job thing, if it's a contract or some sort of transaction, but I feel like that's kind of, that's a little bit up in the air right now. Okay? It looks to me that things are going to work out just fine, but I feel like you've got to, in that sense, you've got to kind of stick to your guns, right? You need to compromise here, but you have to remain firm about what you want. I think someone's trying to see how much they can sort of negotiate back your way, but there has to be a point where you just kind of, you don't budge, right? And someone's trying to kind of test you to see how far they can like get you to to sort of compromise or to concede something. Yeah. So be careful about that. Anyway, the Tower card, this is the position of what we don't want, right? And very simple, if we're talking about the fire energy. What we don't want is to keep pushing ourselves as hard as we are until our car just breaks. You know, it's like, you ever have one of those cars? We've been driving a very old Honda, 2007 Honda, right? And I do this with Hondas because I don't know. They're not a sponsor of the channel, but I mean, they could be if they wanted to. I've had a lot of Hondas in my life, and I would run those things to the ground. I've put 400,000 miles on my Hondas. And I, especially in my 20s or whatever, I would drive a car until the wheels fell off. And that's kind of the Tower. This is what we're trying to avoid. Because we know that if you keep pushing yourself as hard as you've been pushing yourself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, something's going to break. There's some wheel that's going to fall off somewhere. We don't want that to happen. This is what we're trying to avoid. This is what we do not want. But this is what we need. We do need Tower. We do need change. We do need quick change. Severing our ties with toxic relationships. Making big-time changes in your life, right? And the Tower, of course, are those really, really abrupt, life-changing moments. But if we want something to grow strong and we want it to be lasting, we want to make sure that we build it up in the right way. You can't go from kind of living a sedentary lifestyle, kind of like me, with almost no activity, to suddenly now I'm running a marathon next week, or I'm doing a Spartan race in a couple days. You know, you can't go that extreme. That is not going to last. It has to be a slow, gradual thing. So we don't really want the Tower in that sense either. Really what we want is the Death card. We want a slow, gradual change into these new habits, into this new lifestyle, slowly building up this life in the right way so that this lasts for a long time, decades to come. Right? 100, 200 years is nothing. Right? We don't want to go so fast that we create something that's sort of unstable, sort of on shaky ground, and this will crumble. Okay? And I think this has to do with your creative life, your spiritual life, as well as your physical, financial, mental, emotional stuff. Yeah, it's everything. It is literally everything. Mystery card. What is the mystery here? I think Death card, because that's what I kind of want as far as making these changes. I want them to be rather slow and steady and gradual rather than just like doing everything at once. It's not going to stick. Okay, it's not going to stick. So something here representing that gradual change, the gradual implementation of new habits, new lifestyle choices, right? Slowly incorporating these little changes into life that are leading to improvement in physical, financial, mental, emotional, spiritual, creative stuff. Maybe a 9 of Cups. That's super abundance, right? Let's see what we have. The Ace of Swords. Okay, well, that's good. The Ace of Swords is your ability to see the truth of things. Again, you're using this to judge your relationship with everything in your life. You're not judging the person, you're not judging the ice cream, you're judging your relationship with it. And this is your standard of truth. This is your sword of discernment that can cut the ties with things, that can go around sort of, cutting down the weeds around your garden. Okay? Knowing which plants are weeds and which aren't, right? I mean, that's something, too, that I think is very important. Knowing, that's really actually a very good plant right there. Leave that one alone. Right? Give that one some water. Show that one some love. But that other one over there, you need to rip it out of the ground, root and all. Right? This is you knowing the difference there and being able to do that. Even though it's difficult for you, Hanged Man card, it's not always the easiest thing. I want to do one thing before we leave, and that is an Empowerment Oracle card, because I feel that this is such a wonderful reading. And it's rare that we get a reading, I think, that covers kind of everything in life right now. You know? And this is every area of your life improving, getting better. right? I don't think anyone's had a reading this good. This is a rare one. I like it. Let's do an empowerment oracle card. We've got the Candle of Hope. I am hopeful. Every day I make the choice to be positive, no matter what happens around me. I guard the flame of faith within at the moment when all feels lost and I face a dead end. Hope lights a new way. The Candle of Hope, sort of reminds me of the High Priestess. Yeah, the Candle of Hope, being open, kind of making that connection, and hope is lighting a new way, and that light is that spiritual light, that lunar psychic light, the widening spiritual psychic aperture. I think it's perfect. I think this is a blessed reading, and I'm very happy to be able to bring this message to you. We're going to do an extended reading. The link is up top. There's one down below, new readings for Gemini, Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both. All right. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It is totally free, does not cost anything. And leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.